Ethan had stopped counting the days when the silence became louder than screams. The world after the collapse had a way of erasing numbers, names, and meaning. Cities stood like broken teeth against the sky, their windows dark, their streets swallowed by ash and mud. Fires still burned in places where no one remembered how they started. The old world had ended quietly at first, then all at once. He was the last man alive. At least, that was what every woman he met believed. And what he himself had begun to accept. The sickness had come without warning. It did not care about borders or beliefs. It spared women and devoured men, leaving behind empty houses, abandoned cars, and photographs of fathers who would never come home. At first, women mourned. Then they survived. Then they changed. Ethan survived by accident. Or by curse. He had been underground when the sickness peaked, trapped in a maintenance tunnel after an explosion. By the time he crawled back into daylight, the world had already buried his kind. For years, he moved like a ghost, hiding, scavenging, avoiding attention. Not because women were cruel, but because fear had reshaped them. A man was no longer just a man. He was a threat, a miracle, a weapon, a sin, a symbol. Different communities reacted differently. Some worshipped the idea of men. Some hunted them. Some wanted to use them. Some wanted to erase them completely, believing the world had been corrected. On that gray morning, Ethan had been careless. The ground beneath his boots was soft with black mud and ash. The air smelled of rain and old smoke. He was crossing the outskirts of a ruined city when he felt it, that unmistakable sensation of being watched. Before he could turn, voices surrounded him. Stop. He froze. Women stepped out from behind burned vehicles and collapsed walls. 8 of them. No, 9. They were dressed in torn, practical clothes, their skin streaked with dirt, their eyes sharp and alive. Some were young, some older. 2 were visibly pregnant, hands resting protectively on their bellies. All of them looked at him as if he were something impossible that had learned how to breathe. Ethan slowly raised his hands. I'm not armed, he said. His voice sounded strange even to himself. He hadn't spoken to anyone in weeks. One woman stepped forward. She had dark hair, mud on her face, and eyes that didn't blink. She studied him carefully, like a scientist examining a rare specimen. A man, she said quietly. The word rippled through the group. Not shouted. Not celebrated. Just acknowledged, heavy with history. Where did you find him? Another asked. He found us, the dark-haired woman replied, never taking her eyes off Ethan. They circled him slowly. He felt exposed, like an animal under glass. What's your name? She asked. Ethan. Do you know what you are? She said. Yes, he answered honestly. I'm the last mistake of the old world. A few of them scoffed. One laughed bitterly. Men caused the collapse, a red-haired woman said. Violence. Greed. Wars. Men also built hospitals, Ethan replied softly. And bridges. And homes. We weren't one thing. The dark-haired woman raised a hand, silencing the others. My name is Mara, she said. You're in our territory. We don't kill on sight, but we don't let threats walk free either. I'm not a threat, Ethan said. That's what all threats say, Mara replied. They took his bag. They searched him. They debated what to do while he stood there, heart pounding, watching their faces. Some looked curious. Some angry. Some afraid. One of the pregnant women looked at him with something close to sadness. Finally, they decided. They brought him to their camp. A settlement built from the skeletons of old buildings and new determination. Gardens grew in broken bathtubs. Children laughed nearby. Girls ran freely. Without fear of what the night might bring. It was a world shaped by absence, but also by resilience. Ethan was locked inside a reinforced room, not a cell exactly, but not freedom either. Over the next days, they questioned him. His past. His survival. His intentions. He told the truth because lies felt pointless in a world already broken. Some women wanted him executed. To keep balance, they said. Others wanted to study him. For the future, they argued. A few wanted him protected, hidden away like a relic of history. Mara listened to them all. Late one night, she came to him alone. "Do you want to rebuild the world?" she asked. He looked at her, exhausted. "I want to belong to it. Even if it doesn't belong to me anymore." She studied his face, as if searching for something beyond words. "You scare us," she said honestly. "Not because you're dangerous. Because you remind us of what we lost, and what we might need." Days turned into weeks. He was allowed to work, to help repair structures, to teach what he knew. Slowly, fear softened into routine. Routine into trust. Trust into something fragile and unnamed. Some women still watched him with suspicion. Others with curiosity. A few with longing. But Ethan learned quickly that this world was not his to claim. He was a guest in a future shaped without him. One evening, as the sun bled orange into the ruins, Mara stood beside him on a broken rooftop. "The world won't go back," she said. "I know," Ethan replied, "but it doesn't have to end," she continued. He nodded. "Not if we choose differently." Below them, women worked, laughed, argued, lived. Life continued, not as it was, but as it had to be. Ethan was no longer just the last man on Earth. He was a question. And the answer, he realized, would not be about power, or control, or the past. It would be about whether humanity, whatever form it took, had learned how to survive without destroying itself again.